Denis returned for lunch. Elena Viktorovna noticeably sighed with relief and became inspired, watching her son eat the soup she had cooked with such appetite. It was extremely difficult to engage Denis in conversation. He was deeply immersed in his thoughts, responding with short and brief answers, causing his mother to have new questions. "Don't forget to pack your autumn clothes in the suitcase," Elena Viktorovna reminded him, taking her son's attention away from his phone. Every now and then he was exchanging messages with Anya, smiling upon receiving her replies, which annoyed his mother. "Why?" Denis carelessly shrugged. "I'll take the entrance exams and come back." "Why?" Elena Viktorovna echoed his words. "I will come to you myself." "Mama," he laughed, looking her in the eyes. "Come on, you're acting like a child. Honestly, you perfectly understand why I'm coming. And to whom? I'll even go further. I'll come every month, maybe even more frequently as it works out." "You won't make any money with that attitude. We're not millionaires to be going back and forth like that." "I'm not asking you for money. I'll earn it myself." "Interesting." Elena Viktorovna leaned back in her chair and folded her arms over her chest. "When do you plan on working? Overnight?" "I'll figure it out, Mom. If I have to, I'll go unload train cars." "Train cars? And when will you study? A surgeon can't be a laborer. And what if your hand trembles?" Denis sighed and looked at his mother with determination. "I'll manage, Mom. I'll find a way to make it work. This is important to me, and I trust that it will all work out." Elena Viktorovna stared at her son for a moment before finally nodding. "I hope you know what you're getting yourself into. I just want you to be happy." Denis smiled warmly at his mother. "I know, Mom, and I appreciate your concern. I want to do this for me and for us. Trust me, it'll be worth it." With that, Denis finished his meal and got up from the table. He had a lot to prepare for his departure, but his determination and love for Anya fueled his every step. "Mama, please don't be so negative." Denis finished the last of the soup and went to wash his plate. "It's just temporary. You understand, right? I'll help Anya. And when she gives birth, I'll bring her back from the maternity hospital, as it should be." "Oh, my dear son, why do you upset me like this?" Elena Viktorovna moaned, holding her head in her hands. "It's not your child. Just calm down already." "Life will show, Mom, whose child it is." Denis hurried back to the table as he heard a notification sound from his phone. He was messaging Anya, telling her he would come back right after the exams, and she replied, "I'll be waiting for you." Denis's vast soul filled with happiness. He was ready to kiss the phone screen, but settled for a wide smile directed at his mother. "Well, enough sitting around," Denis commanded, clapping his hands loudly. "Come on, Mom, don't be down." He headed to his room, stuffing the most essential items into his travel bag, considering his imminent return, an abundance of textbooks and stationery. Then he flopped onto his bed and once again stared at his phone. "I've packed my things," he messaged Anya. Denis kept her informed about every step while they were in the taxi, then sitting in the waiting area. Finally, they reached their compartment. His mother bought tickets for the sleeper car. It was noisy, passengers everywhere bidding farewell, but Denis didn't notice anyone. "Anya, I don't need anyone except you. You're the most beautiful, the sweetest. When I come back, I'll kiss you so passionately that you'll go crazy. And I'll be with you." Denis's cheeks flushed. With each message, they became more open. It ignited his imagination, but the message remained unsent. Only now did Denis tear himself away from the screen. He realized that the train had traveled a considerable distance from the city. The connection was lost, and the next station wasn't close. Elena Viktorovna had managed to strike up conversations with all their fellow travelers. Sitting opposite them was a woman with her daughter, who was the same age as Denis. The daughter had been sneakily observing him the entire time. As soon as he glanced at her, the girl shyly cast her eyes downward. "And my Denis, he's going to be a surgeon," Elena Viktorovna boasted. She nudged her son's side with her elbow. "Here, meet Sonia. She's going to study economics. Maybe you'll even run into each other somewhere. After all, you're both from the same region." Sonia blushed deeply and straightened her long, thick braid in front of her. Just what he needed. Denis lightly shook his head and turned away to look out the window, but all he saw was his own reflection, and Sonia's reflection, as she continued to shoot him sidelong glances. "I'm going to sleep." Denis couldn't take it anymore and climbed up to the top bunk, despite his mother's protests. He waited for Anya to receive his message, waited for her reply, and fell asleep to the rhythm of the train wheels. He woke up late at night, immediately grabbed his phone and stretched out a satisfied smile. Anya had replied. It was short, but at the end of the sentence, she typed a series of embarrassed smiley faces. "I feel good with you." There was no connection. From below, loud snoring could be heard, and from the neighboring top bunk, Sonia's huge eyes were looking at Dennis. This time, she didn't turn away. She smiled and whispered, "You're always texting your girlfriend, aren't you?" "Yes," Dennis nodded, "with my girlfriend." "It shows. It's clear that you're in love. You're glowing." "I am, very much." He cleared his throat, feeling uncomfortable. Dennis didn't like to open up, especially to people he barely knew. He was used to keeping everything to himself, but Sonia touched upon a sensitive topic and unintentionally made him feel more at ease. "Your girlfriend is lucky," Sonia dreamily uttered. They lay in silence for a while. Dennis was contemplating another compromising message to Anya, while Sonia suddenly propped herself up on her elbow and asked, "Is it true that you have an aunt there? You probably know the city like the back of your hand." "Well, something like that. Maybe you could show me the local sites, because I don't know anyone there." "You'll get to know people," Dennis replied. He wanted to politely decline, having no desire to wander around the city with a barely acquainted girl, but she didn't give up. "Please, Dennis, just a few times," Sonia said plaintively. "Do you know how scary it is, being alone in a big, unfamiliar city?" Dennis thought for a while and agreed. After all, nothing bad would happen if he helped this girl, and at the same time, it would help pass the time. They exchanged numbers, after which Dennis turned away from Sonia so she wouldn't bother him with her conversations, and so he wouldn't be distracted from thoughts of his beloved Anya. Aunt Valia lived alone, so she warmly and happily welcomed her sister and nephew, whom she often called son. Valentina didn't have children of her own, but she had plenty of unspent love to give. That's why Dennis had a trusting relationship with her, and no matter how much Elena Viktorovna complained about her stubborn son, Valentina supported him in everything. "Leave him alone," Valia spoke up for her nephew. "Let him decide whom he loves and wants to be with. He needs to focus on his studies, and this girl is distracting him," grumbled Elena Viktorovna, watching how passionately her son stared at his phone screen, but no criticism affected him. Dennis continued to communicate with Anya, while also preparing for entrance exams and searching for a job, and he eagerly awaited his mother's departure so he could finally breathe freely. "Well, stop crying," Dennis reassured her, seeing her off at the train station. Elena Viktorovna wiped her tears with a handkerchief and gave her son some final instructions. "I'll be back soon, my dear. As soon as I pass my exams, I'll jump on the train the same day. It'll be night, and I'll be home." "Yeah, you'll come back and immediately run to her," the mother sobbed. "Not immediately. First I'll hug you and then I'll run." Dennis stretched an ironic smile and embraced her. "Mom, are you jealous or something, huh? Do you want me to sit by your skirt for the rest of my life?" "I don't want that, but I won't accept that girl into our family, just know that." Dennis stepped back, not wanting to argue with her before his departure. Left without a supervisor, Dennis found a job as a loader at the local supermarket, where he was paid per shift. With the money he earned through hard work, he decided to order flowers for Anya. In the evening, Dennis asked her about her plans for the next morning, made sure she would be at home, and arranged for a modest bouquet of 5 roses to be delivered. This should be interesting, he thought, checking the zero balance on his card. From early morning, Dennis was not himself. He wanted to surprise Anya, wanted to make her happy, and now he was eagerly awaiting her enthusiastic reaction and warm words of gratitude. As soon as the phone rang, he found the most secluded corner of the warehouse and answered, hiding behind a pallet of boxes to avoid the cameras. "Hello?" Anya's voice was strange, strained and sad. Dennis ran his fingers through his hair, feeling awkward about the modest bouquet of 5 roses. He was ready to disappear into the ground. Anya continued in the same indifferent tone, "Thank you for the flowers." And once again, his self-esteem was hit. Dennis started to apologize. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to see you smile. I must have done something wrong." "No!" Anya exclaimed passionately. She seemed lost for a moment, then continued in an anxious, low voice that somehow trembled. "It's not about that. Just understand. It's only fair. Towards you." "What? Tell me, Anya, don't keep me waiting." "The father of my child, he changed his mind, he came back, and it seems like we're together." Anya burst into loud sobs. "We're kind of together